Flashback. We see Rob and Dave as they're in Rob's old house. As we see Rob walks up to Dave and says, "So where are you heading to after you take down this lunatic?" Dave says, "I don't know. But this is something I can't live with until he's dead." Rob says, "Nah, I get it. Maybe, and I know it ain't my place, but don't let revenge consume you, alright, man? I can tell you're a good guy, and I'd hate to see revenge get you killed or worse. You could come out a different person." Dave looks nervous and says, "I won't. Although you're right. My dad was a soldier. Had many tours in Afghanistan, and he always taught me growing up. It was the number one thing that kept his head in the game, was that getting revenge was one thing, but the best revenge is to never be like your enemy." I never really knew what he meant. Although now I think I do. Rob says, "Sometimes people consume you. Hell, sometimes they control who you are." Currently, we see the sun coming up as we see what's left of Blackberry Ranch, as we see the door is wide open to the main house, as we see most of it is just burned down to nothing, as we see someone walking up to the ranch wearing a skull mask and chains with a long black jacket, as he has a wolf on a chain, as the wolf is sniffing around trying to find evidence, as this man with his wolf walks up with his 40 men, as he looks at Nancy's dead corpse and says, "Merciless death for merciless family. If that's not karma, gentlemen, I don't know what is. Check the ranch. Whoever did this kind of act are the kind of people I want to meet." We see Rob, Jade, Ryder, Mara, Holly, Vel, and Alara, along with a few other of her people, are walking a trail. As we see, they all look zoned out after what happened, and Rob says, "We need to get back to the island and update everyone." Alara says, "Yeah, me and my people should get back home to our people as well. Update them on everything. Importantly, bring Ryder and Mara back safe." Vel says, "Of course, it's understandable. Look, thank you, just for coming, for helping out. You really didn't have to do any of that. I'm sorry we dragged you into this." Alara says, "Oh no, it's no problem. Look, after seeing you guys again after all this time, it's brought back a lot of memories for me. Something I honestly miss." Vel says, "Me too. Till we meet again." Ryder and Mara are hugging all of them, as Mara says to Rob and Jade, "Good luck, you two. Thanks for being a rock star, Rob." And yes, I mean that literally. "You should play a show for them one time." Rob says, "I think I'll do that." As they leave and go their separate ways. Later on, we see Rob, Jade, Vel, and Holly walking through the woods, as Jade says, "Dad?" Rob says, "Yeah." Jade says, "What we did back there, killing them like that, what does that make us? Are we really better than them?" Rob says, "Of course we are. What they did was inhumane, and what we did was necessary. I hope you don't doubt that." Jade says, "I don't. I don't know, I'm feeling like I'm starting to drift further and further away from who I once was." Rob says, "Maybe we are. Maybe that's all part of getting older in this screwed up world. Though no matter what comes next for us here, don't ever lose yourself because your enemy drives you mad. A friend of mine once said something. The best revenge is to never be like your enemy." We then see a skull hunter in the woods holding a torch as Rob and the others pull out their weapons. And Rob sees them from far and says, "It's just one. Maybe a straggler. We can take him out." Vale sees two others and looks nervous. Holly sees three more and Jade says, "They're trying to block us off." They run away as we see the skull hunters going after them. We see Mara, Ryder, and Alara as we see some of her soldiers are with them as they're walking through the woods, and Mara says to Ryder, "You think we got them all?" Ryder says, "I think so. I mean, they really seem pretty damn stupid, so I don't think it's anything else than that." Mara says, we should find a place to hunker down for the time being. We see an old trailer park in the distance as Alara says, you know what, that's a good idea. We'll stay there for the night, hit the road by morning. We see Mara on guard as she's having a smoke, but then she hears something coming from down the road. She hears something from far as she pulls out her nail gun, looking on edge. We hear a gun click behind her as we hear, evening, lady. We see a skull hunter behind her with a chainsaw as they say, keep your hands down, weapons on the ground. Go. 1, 2, 3. She drops them and he says, that's it. Now turn around. Mara slowly turns around as the man says, did you think this was going to be that simple? Mara says, so there is more of you. The man says, yeah, lucky for you, you're getting a free escort there. He then knocks her out. We see Rob and the others run through the woods as they go through an old skate park, but then we see dozens of skull hunters are already waiting for them. Rob and the others try to turn back, but even more come up behind them. Rob, Jade, Vel, and Holly are surrounded as one of the skull hunters walks up to Rob as Rob says, all right. It's me you want, huh? Then just take me. The skull hunter knocks him to the ground as Rob falls, as we see his nose is bleeding, as he says, please, I beg you, please to not. The skull hunter says, fear not. Ragnar will treat you just like the star you are. Or at least, the star you were. Rob says, how the fuck does he know about me? Vel says, okay, who the fuck is Ragnar? I've been hearing about him everywhere. It's finally time to rip the fucking band-aid off and light this fucking candle. The skull hunter says, put your weapons on the ground. They all have no other choice, as Rob and the others all just stand there in the center of the skate park, as we see from a distance. Mara and Ryder being brought down by the skull hunters, as we see a huge gash in Mara's head. As they look terrified, we see Ryder says, what the fuck did you do? Where the fuck is my mother? Where is she? They all get placed together as Rob whispers, are you okay? Mara says, I'm okay. Ryder says, they won't be when I'm done with them. My dad died a fucked up death. Ain't no way I'm going through the same thing again. Vel says, guys, stop. I don't think I've ever said this before, but I think we're seriously fucked here. Rob yells out, whoever leads you people, can you at least walk out and talk to us before you kill us all? We hear chains as we see someone walking up with a wolf by their side. As we see this person is walking through the skull hunters, as the skull hunters all move aside and let them pass. As we see the leader walks up to Rob and says, and there he is, the first and best artist I ever managed, Rob Johnson. He takes his mask off as we see it's Rob's music manager, as Rob says, Mark Daniels? You're... Ragnar says, alive? Yes, through the thick and thin I am alive. Vel says, who the fuck is this? Wait, you know him? Ragnar says, go on, tell the woman here. Tell them everything about me. Rob says, he was my music manager. He turned my life into shit. Ran me into the ground so long ago, and he made me agree to things that I didn't agree to. He took time away from my family, and he put me through hell to serve his needs. And eventually, when I didn't do it, he fucking put a hit out on me and tried to kill me. Ragnar says, well, I see you haven't changed at all. That's not what happened. And I didn't do any of that. Rob says, bullshit! Christ, even after you made an attempt on my life, my crew, my band all wanted to press charges on you. But I told them not to. But because I still cared about you, I fired you. I got rid of you for good. And I told you that if I ever saw your face around here again, that I would turn you in. Ragnar says, well, I'm glad it didn't go down that way. Luckily, for us, there's no laws anymore. Hasn't been for a long time. I'm honestly glad. After all this time, I didn't think you were still alive. After the world fell, I actually went back to your prison cell to see if you were still there. Instead, I found an open cell and you weren't anywhere to be found. It was truly a sad day. But here we are, Rob Johnson in the flesh. After all these years, we finally get to work together again. Rob says, I will never work for you, and you're right. I shouldn't have fucking turned you in. Nah, I should have fucking killed you. Ragnar says, go on, let out your anger. Okay, my fucking turn. You folks took out an entire settlement of my people. A lot of good fighters on that ranch, too. I saw what was left of it earlier today, and I must say I was impressed. I trained a lot of those men very well over the years, although those were more of my spare fighters, the ones that didn't have all the brains to do what needed doing. And I'll admit the leader was an absolute asshat of a man that ate people, but I never cared about that shit. Christ, I think he'd sniff his own asshole if you asked him to. But regardless, they were my people at the end of the day, and I'm a bunch short now. Thanks to you. And I can't have that. Vel says, well, we ain't your fucking fuck dolls either there, fucko, so what the fuck is it gonna be? Ragnar says, whoa, the mouth on this one now. I like her. I like her already. Now listen. For old time's sake, Rob Johnson, you and the rest of your friends here will all be together under one rule. Rob says, no fucking way. Ragnar says, yeah, I figured you would have said that, so let me make it a bit more simple like bread and butter. You either join us and become useful to what we are doing here and what we've been building for over 2 decades now, or I will kill every last one of you right here, right in the dead of night. Which sounds really fucking cruel, but luckily it's up to you, so it wouldn't be that cruel if you made the choice now, wouldn't it? Ryder says, where the fuck is my mother too? Ragnar says, don't worry. Lincolnville will be getting the download later tonight. He smirks and looks at Rob, and Rob says, what do you want us for? Why the fuck would you trust us anyway? Ragnar says, I don't. You'll have to earn that. We've had people that we've had join our organization for the last several years. They've tried, some have tried, or thought, or even crossed their minds to try to take me out. And guess what? Every last one of them we've made an example out of. And we'll do it again if we have to. Although I really don't want to have to kill my best artist now, don't I? I admittedly didn't ever really know if you were alive, till about a year ago when my men were out there on a hunt. And they saw you, with your beautiful daughter here, might I add, just strolling the streets. And my men spray painted a pretty nasty amount of words about you and your music around the area, because, well, I guess they didn't like your music. I mean, to each their own, but I personally disagree. I believed in you. But my men have a stick up their ass sometimes. You may have to forgive them, but that's another reason right there why I wanted you with me. My people need some great entertainment. And that's why I want you working for me. You're a phenomenal artist. Hell, I managed your music, for Christ's sake. Rob then remembers the spray paint that he saw in the past as we see a flashback to the old tunnel, as we see the very old graffiti painted on it. Rob Johnson is a killer. Take your songs out of your actions. He isn't who he says he is. Get your money back. Only a psychopath does what Rob Johnson does. Currently, Rob says, I killed that man to defend myself. Ragnar says, I know. So crazy how somebody can blame someone for something that they didn't do, huh? Meaning himself. Rob says, that's different. It ain't the same. Ragnar says, and it won't be after this. He walks up towards the group and pulls out a double-edged sword and says, but see, Rob, I don't think you understand even after all these years, after all the different ways I've explained it, you're still accusing me of attempted murder, and quite frankly, I'm hurt. So, what's about to happen? I want to make sure that you feel what I feel. Rob says no. He stabs Jade in the gut as Jade falls to her knees and is starting to bleed out very badly. As all of the Skull Hunters hold our characters back, as Rob says, "No, you destroyed my life, my daughter, my little girl. My little girl, I brought her back. She gave me the only fucking purpose I had. I didn't have any purpose and she gave me a purpose. Please, please don't fucking do this. Don't take my purpose away again, please." Ragnar brings out his wolf and says, "This here is Frost, and she looks very hungry. Oh, it has been a long day. I wouldn't want her to go hungry now." Rob says, "Please, please don't. Let her go, please." Jade says, "Dad, it's okay. It's okay." Rob is crying as Jade says, "Don't let this consume you, Dad. Remember, the best revenge is to never be like your enemy."
One day I thought I'd see her with her daddy by her side and violins would play. Here comes the bride, but here comes goodbye. Here comes the last time. Here comes the start of every sleepless night. The first of every tear I'm gonna cry. Here comes the pain. Here comes me wishing things had never changed. She was right here in my arms tonight.
As Ragnar says, "Well, I do have to keep my people fed." As Frost is unchained and takes Jade and bites her face off, as we see it devours Jade right in front of everyone, as we then see everyone's broken. We see Frost licking her paws of blood, as Ragnar says, "Well, not so fast there. You'll get a tummy ache. Yeah, that's my girl. That's my girl." Rob is covered in his daughter's blood as he whispers under his breath, "That's my girl. That's my girl. That's my girl. That's my girl. That's my girl."